Welcome to emBody by Eliza. This is a 10-minute yoga stretch for your hips and hamstrings. To begin, come into child's pose. Knees together if your hips are tight. Take them wide if you can, if that feels accessible to you. Big toes together. Sink the hips back onto the heels, forehead to the mat. Arms stretch out in front of you for a more active pose to begin. Or for a more yin approach, you can bend to the elbows. With each inhale, become a little bit more expansive. And with each exhale, feel the hips sink back and down onto the heels a little bit further. On your next inhale, come up to hands and knees, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and start to draw some small circles with the hips. And then start to let them become larger circles. Eventually bringing the hips forward toward the wrists and back toward the heels. And then reverse it. Starting with the big circles and then easing into smaller circles. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Press into the hands, lift the hips high, lift the heels, bend into the left knee, sink the right heel down. Bend into the right knee, sink the left heel down. And switch again. Switch. One more time on each side. And then both heels lift, limbs long, press the mat away, and start to melt the heels down. Come onto the ball mounds of the feet again and tiptoe the feet forward, setting them down behind the wrists. Feet about hip distance apart, possibly a little wider. Big toes turn in, heels turn out. Fold into the legs. Halfway lift, scoop the heart forward. Plant the right hand down, lift the left leg, bending into the right knee. So you should feel this in the outer left hip, leaning the weight into the outer edge of the left foot. And take a deep inhale. And exhale, fold into the legs. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, plant the left hand, right arm lifts. Bend into the left knee, feeling this in the outer right hip, leaning into the outer edge of the right foot. One more inhale. And exhale, unravel. Halfway lift, inhale. As you exhale, step the left foot back and put the left knee down. Come up onto your fingertips, slide the hips forward, lift the chest and chin, working into the front of the left hip, into the hip flexor. Option to plant the left hand, bend the knee, pivot the right toes out, reach the right hand back for the inner arch of the foot. Let the right knee splay open. Holding onto the inner arch of the foot, you can bend into the elbow, roll the shoulder back, draw the heel in. And then release. Move the hips back until they stack directly on top of the left knee. Flex the right foot. You might need to wiggle the heel forward so that the hips don't go back beyond the knee. Take a deep breath in. This might be enough to hold it high, or maintaining the length in the spine, you can walk the hands forward and fold over the extended leg. Ardha Hanumanasana, half splits. Bend back into the right knee, plant the palms, lift the left knee, lift the hips, slide the right foot back and cross the right ankle above the left knee. Flex through the right foot, bend the left knee coming down onto the knee, tuck the right toes under, sink the hips back onto the left heel. Keeping the right foot flexed. So it's like an inverse half pigeon. And then come all the way back up. Bring the right knee to the right tricep. Swing the ankle in. Lower the shin down behind the wrists. Make sure the right knee is pointing toward the long edge of your mat and not toward the top edge of your mat. Slide the left foot back. You can bring the heel in close to your inner groin to make it more accessible, or if the hips feel a little bit more open, you can bring the foot a little bit closer to the top edge of your mat. If this is feeling like a lot on the hips, you can always put a block, a pillow, or a bolster under the right hip. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, fold down, either onto your forearms or all the way down onto the mat. Come all the way back up, walking your hands back in. Tuck the left toes under, lift the hips and slide the right foot back to meet the left. Come high into the ball mounds of the feet, walk the feet forward, set the heels down. Heels turn out, big toes turn in, fold. Halfway lift. Plant the right palm, left arm lifts, right knee bends. Again, bringing the action into the outer left hip. Just a few breaths here. Make sure that you're really anchoring down or connecting through the outer edge of the left foot. And then fold back in, straightening both legs. Halfway lift, plant the left palm. Right arm lifts as the left knee bends. And again, iron out the right side of the foot, of the right foot onto the mat. So you can activate more into that outer right hip. Take a deep breath in and exhale, fold into the legs. Halfway lift, inhale. And as you exhale, step the right foot back. Lower the right knee down. Come up onto the fingertips so that you can slide the hips forward, lifting through the chest, lifting through the chin. This might be enough. If it is, just stay here and breathe into your hips. If you want to go a little bit deeper, pivot the left toes out at a diagonal. Right hand plants, right knee bends, and the left hand sweeps back for the inner arch of the foot. Once you have it, you can come to the outer edge of the left foot, letting the left knee splay open. Bend the left elbow, hugging the heel in toward the glute. And then release. Both hands down, tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, slide the left foot back, cross the ankle above the knee, lift the hips, down dog. Keep the left foot flexed, bend the right knee, lower it down. You can tuck the left toes under and sink the hips back onto the heel. And again, come forward, bring the left knee to the left tricep, swing the ankle in, lower the shin, slide the right foot back, walk the hands in, lifting through the front of the pelvis to square the hips, and then you can decide where or how close the left heel is toward your glute, toward your inner groin. Just make sure that the left knee is angling out and not straight ahead. Take a full breath in here, either stay lifted, come down to your forearms, or lower all the way down. Breathing softness into any places that feel stuck or hardened. Noticing how when you're in these poses that deal with your hips and tension in those areas, we can tend to hold our breath. So how does the body respond when the breath flows freely? Walk your hands back in. Tuck your right toes under, lift the hips, sweep the left foot back, downward facing dog. Come back down to your hands and knees, big toes together, knees wide. Sink the hips back onto the heels, and ending here in child's pose. Thank you for joining me. I hope that your hips and hamstrings feel happy. And if you have any feedback, I always love receiving it.